There's someone who asked me, is 50,000 enough money, enough salary to own a car in Nairobi? 50K. Now he has been earning 30,000 and the salary was increased to 50,000. Now he's thinking of owning a car and he doesn't know whether it's a good idea. Now, what I know, in Nairobi, 50,000 is not enough money to own a car. Unless you want to swim in loans, don't buy a car with a salary of 50,000 per month. You cannot sustain it. 50K, if it's taxed, you pay all those taxes and deductions, you remain with around 38,000. Now, subtract rent, subtract other expenses, food, clothing, shopping, you remain with something like 10,000. So that is the money you are going to spend on fuel and other expenses associated with a car. When you own a car, there are some things you have to know. First, you have to pay insurance every year. And the best insurance for you is comprehensive. Let's say you buy a car worth 300,000. It's valued 300,000. It means every month, every year, you have to pay like 20,000. That means around 2,000 per month is gone from your salary. You have to take your car to car wash at least once a month. That's another expense. Apart from that, you have repairs. You have to take your car to the service. Occasionally, you are going to buy tires. So the expenses increase. And by the end of the day, you realize that maintaining a car is more expensive than raising a child. So when you buy a car, you must have in mind that you are giving birth to a child. So 50,000 in Nairobi is something very little. One thing you also need to learn is that once you buy a car, your status automatically change. Most people now behave as if they are rich. So you are living in a place like Pipeline, paying rent, let's say 5,000 bed sitter. There's no parking. You have to move to a more expensive area where people have own cars. And there's parking where it is safer. Nobody will steal the side mirror. So you'll move from 5,000 shillings rent to 12,000 shillings rent. That's an expense. When you own a car in Nairobi, prepare to pay parking fee. And in Nairobi is 300 shillings anytime you go to park. So your 38,000 is peanuts. In my own opinion, to own a car in Nairobi, you need something like a gross salary of 100,000 and above. If you have 100,000 shillings and your car is 1500cc or 1400cc, then you can budget at least 15,000 every month for that car to pay for parking, car wash, services, insurance, everything that the car needs. That one you can survive. You can be able to sustain that car. You can be able to pay for insurance, parking, and car wash and everything that it needs. Now for 50,000, if you want to buy a car and be able to sustain it, you have to use it for business. So that the money you get from the business can sustain that car. For instance, if you buy, for example, a small car, 300,000, and you fit in that app for maybe Uber or Bolt, then you'll be able to operate it after work and make something like, let's say, 500 shillings per day. Then you can take 300 and use it for fuel and or 400 fuel and other expenses. Remain with something like 200, 300 shillings. So that way you can sustain your car. But in my own opinion, 50,000 is not enough to sustain a car in Nairobi. You need 100,000 and above, and it depends on the type of car you are going to own. If you need a Range Rover, you must earn something like 500,000 shillings per month and above. Because a Range Rover, you are going to pay insurance more than 300,000 shillings every year, which will be very expensive. If you're going to buy a V8, more than 300,000 shillings every year, you're going to pay insurance. And a V8, you know how it consumes fuel, at least 4,600 cc. Fuel from here to Kisumu and back, you spent not less than 50,000 on fuel. So owning a car is another expense. And don't own a car in Nairobi to floss, kuringia your friends and family members. Utaumia. You'll be constantly be on loans. And I have friends who borrow from this and that so that they can sustain their car and their lifestyle and their new status. So that is my opinion. Unless you earn something like 100,000 and above, owning a car in Nairobi is not a good idea. You will never save any money. You will never invest. All your money will go into sustaining that car. What is your opinion about it also?